A bit can educate, a bite can inform, an insight can enlighten. Bits, Bytes, and Insights, where we seek to educate, inform, and enlighten our audience by celebrating individual passion, humanizing technology innovation, and connecting the dots. A big shout out to our sponsor, the Alliance for Critical Infrastructure Security, for the support and collaboration. Let's get started. Hey, it's Pete Tseronis, the Dots and Bridges, and I am super excited to be here today talking to a friend, a colleague, and the president and chief executive officer of Airviz Incorporated. It's a Carnegie Mellon University spinoff company. They do wonderful things, which I'm going to allow my colleague and friend, Mr. Ian Magazine, to discuss. But first and foremost, Ian, it is great to see you.
You too, Brother Pete.
Fired up to have you, and I know this topic that we try to convey, critical infrastructure, the stuff we depend on each and every day of the week and twice on Sundays, I like to say, our bridges, our trains, the air we breathe, the food we eat. We know here at Dots and Bridges that this is something that's very important to you and the work you're doing in the great city of Pittsburgh. And I hope that our audience really comes away today educated, informed, and enlightened on that this is a whole of nation effort, if not global, around making sure that we're doing whatever we can to keep this air clean. So with that, Ian, so that's my preamble into kind of setting some context for our listeners. Talk a little bit, though, about your journey, the passion that brought you to Airviz, and what has informed you and that passion along the way.
Sure, Pete, I'll give you my 2-minute highlight reel. So I was born and raised in New York and out of school working as an investment banker on Wall Street, all in emerging tech companies. So everything from IT to biotech, life sciences, and robotics. And fell in love with a brand new technology called mobile communications. I left Wall Street to become the first employee of what became Nextel Communications, where I was in charge of integrating and operating all 180 of their acquisitions. Hence the reason why I have no hair for over.
You look good, though. You look good, buddy.
Thank you, and learn the art of the possible using a word that you use a lot, because Nextel had a remarkable exit for $35 billion. Once you go through that is completely life-changing. And I've been working in startups ever since. Most recently, I work with 2 Carnegie Mellon University professors here in Pittsburgh on a biotech startup. Took the technology out of the university, got some traction, and sold the company to Kleiner Perkins and Google Ventures in 2017. And wouldn't you know it, lightning struck again, because it happened to be one of the best performing biotech IPOs in 2021. And love working at Carnegie Mellon and became the CEO of Airviz.
Well, when I hear your story, and of course I've heard it, it's this term resilience. You've been very resilient, not just in your journey, but your passion and understanding that, the world now with the infrastructure law, the Chips and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, right? Just the terms, Ian, that we've talked about over the years, whether it's air, which we'll get into today, or water, or again, manufacturing, the power grid. Technology is informing a lot of the transformation and the modernization, and absolutely, let's jump into Airviz here. I love the name, by the way. I think of visualizing particles in the air and how to make it better. I don't know if I'm right on that. I see you nodding. Am I kind of close? Okay. Well, it's instincts. It's dots and bridges, right? It's connect dots, build bridges. But let's talk a little bit about that, because what I want to convey early on is to all of our listeners is that, you are a thought leader, a change agent, a visionary. You're pioneering this with a team of people. And yes, your roots in entrepreneurial spirit and vision are commendable. And just being at the Carnegie Mellon University and that backdrop is just adding to this amazing story. So tell us a little bit about what makes Airviz special and unique.
Sure. So Airviz is developing cutting-edge air quality sensors and software to create a healthier future with cleaner air. And people forget, like, there's nothing as essential to life as breathing, right? Hold your breath for 30 seconds. And we monitor what we eat and drink, but not what we breathe. And those costs are colossal, Pete. Globally, air pollution is responsible for 7 million deaths a year, causing numerous diseases, and is the primary reason why our climate is changing. And every day we breathe in billions of particles containing pollutants that enter our bloodstream, circulating carcinogens, obstructing blood flow, diminishing lung capacity, and triggering brain inflammation. And even at moderate levels, chronic exposure to air pollution can have severe consequences on our health. I mean, just look at asthma. It affects 27 million people, leading to 28 million missed school and work days a year and 14 million doctor and hospital visits annually.
Yeah, and then just those facts and figures, which please, anybody listening, airviz.com. I mean, you can see these facts, which are changing, and it's not static, but that caught my attention. And we'll get to our buzzword section a little bit later. But some of the terms that I won't even call buzzwords, but were educational for me, Ian, and I hope our audience: pollution prevention, also known as P2, particulate matter, we may use that in our discussion today, PM. I know that personally this resonated with me this past summer when we had these wildfires, and the word particulate matter and PM 2.5 versus 10 really became part of my, oh my gosh, I better Google that and see what it's all about. But it was kind of scary, but also, holy cow, if I can't see it, how do I know that I'm even breathing it or not? So can you dive a little into some of the science and some of the things maybe folks need to understand as why more than ever having this advanced technology, which we'll get into, is helping us save lives down the road?
Yeah, sure, Pete. And I'm not a scientist. I'm a business person. But yeah, at a very high level, when I first got into this, I didn't expect New York City to turn orange because of the poor air quality, and it's becoming an increasing problem, even at the smaller level with the East Palatine train crash. What happened there and who was affected? So PM 2.5 particle matter is the things that float in the air. That's the 2.5 is the size of the particle. They're really small. They're microscopic. PM10 is a little bit bigger, like you might find in a sand or a dust storm. PM 2.5 is critical, like in forest fires, dust, exhaust, and things of that sort.
Yeah, I'm going to say, if I may, on top of that, and again, while you may not claim yourself to be a scientist, I think you're one of the smartest dudes I know. So I appreciate you saying what you said. But Ian, I read that how small is a 2.5 micrometer? Folks, think about a single hair from your head. This data I pulled off of EPA.gov, the Environmental Protection Agency. The average human hair is 70 micrometers in diameter. So if we just think about that for a minute, and that's PM 2.5. That to me is the facts tell, and the story can sell itself. We have to do a better job of recognizing when there are things we can't see, right, Ian, in the space, and then what we're inhaling and what we're not. I find that the company, though, let's bring it back to Airviz, right? The innovation component. I'm a proponent of government, industry, and academia working in concert, right? It's like that version of an iron triangle. It must all be in balance to move the needle. And any opportunity to improve our critical infrastructure through the insertion of technology and hopefully mitigate risk, it'll benefit humanity down the road. So let's talk about some of the innovation. You have some sensors, and for those of you who hear me say IoT, that stands for Internet of Things, but sensors are all around us. Talk about the innovation and what you're super excited about at Airviz.
Sure. So we're developing sensors in the software. I'll start with the sensors. We have two sensors right now. One is our Combo Plus, which is an all-in-one solution for air quality monitoring that's very budget friendly. It's very simple to set up and secure for indoor and outdoor use. We just did an installation for the city of Pittsburgh, and it took me a half an hour to install all the sensors in their warehouse. And you talked about PM 2.5 and PM 10. Let's talk about our Duo sensor, which is patented, and it's really the future of particle matter monitoring. It accurately measures the ultra dangerous particles 10 times smaller than PM 2.5 and much more hazardous to your health. So we're looking at things that are small. So think about, things like microplastics, brake dust, tire wear, and things of that which are really dangerous that we're breathing in, that we can't see. But those are the things that our duo could measure.
So when I think of this as a sensor, and again, we all know that we're surrounded by or ubiquitously connected in the world. We have iPhones or Android phones, but we have sensors, they're everywhere. In the world of zero trust, for all the cyber geeks out there like myself, if we can't trust anything, how do we protect the data? And I think you have for years now emphasized how important things like cloud computing and advanced analytics are important to making those data-driven or data-informed decisions for leadership. You've used predictive and prescriptive analytics a lot. Why don't we expound on that a little bit? Because you have the devices, you have the secret sauce software, which makes your company and Airviz unique, and its capabilities. But how important in the world of Airviz is this idea of data collection and curation and providing those analytics to make those decisions to save lives?
Pete, it's critical, and I think just taking a step back, succeeding in air quality monitoring involves more than exceptional sensors. It requires integrating big data, AI, ML, connectivity, power management, security, network architecture, visualization, and quality assurance. And I think that's one of the things that we do at Airviz, or we're focusing on. It goes beyond the sensors. We harness the predictive power of AI and ML models and the simulation capability of digital twins to deliver targeted, prescriptive insights that empower people to actually solve the problems, not just identify them.
You sound like a Beltway guy, Ian. I'm just telling you, every year the federal government focuses on IT modernization and the influence of technology. And you know me, technology is usually not ever the problem. It's to the implementation and, of course, the integration. So let's pivot to that briefly. I mentioned the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Those of you who may not know, it's a pretty cool mission here at the EPA inside of the Washington, D.C. area. It's to protect human health and the environment. That's the mission. It goes on to talk about ensuring that Americans have clean air, land, and water, and there are national efforts to reduce environmental risks that are based on the best available scientific information. I mean, that's a feel-good mission and what it does. And Ian, you're in Pittsburgh. You've been in New York City. You travel the country, if not, have connections all over the world. This is a global crisis. Can you speak to the importance of having that backdrop of whether it's, our government accountability office putting a report out, to say, here's how we must improve as a country, or the EPA providing the incredible amount of education and literature? I mean, the government component is key to accelerating innovation. Am I right?
You're 100% right, and it's not just the EPA; it's NOAA and NASA just putting up their air quality tempo satellite just recently. So there's a bunch of agencies really focusing on not just air pollution, but greenhouse gas emissions. And the EPA has made great strides in air quality monitoring, as you may know. The recent GAO reports stress the need for more modernized network to provide the public with real-time hyper-local information, which really doesn't exist today.
Well, the real time gets my attention. I'm going to continue my pursuits to just emphasize that the more real time information we have, the more decisions we can make quickly and save lives. So
and hyper-locally, I think that's the other key, because the closest EPA air monitoring to my house is about 34 miles away. And to be honest, the air quality in my backyard compared to the front yard where there's a street, there's a fairly large difference.
So for those of us, it's a great segue into maybe what I feel about this, that our country is not, it's diverse. And some people still don't even have internet access, right? I mean, and I live in the Northeast, and there's more Wi-Fi than I need. And what you've just described, the air quality that they say in Pittsburgh today doesn't mean it's 30 miles away, similar. So I get a sense that as a technologist, the more information we can collect, secure it, make decisions, and then we deal with that equity issue, right? Because we know there's an inclusion and equity and environmental justice matter that you and I can and have spoken to in the past, but we can save that for another conversation. So Ian, look, I want to pivot in. Thank you for who you are, why it matters, and of course, Airviz doing great things. We're fired up for what you're doing here inside the Beltway, and I know you're part of this mission to create a resilient, critical air sector for us, and we love you for that and your team. But let's kind of lighten the mood a bit, because I always like to continue to humanize the individual and the technology. But a couple quick questions for you. We've used a few of them today, but buzzwords, buzzword bingo, as I like to call it, it's everywhere, especially around IT. What's a buzzword that makes you cringe?
Oh, net zero, Pete. Net zero is crucial in the fight against climate change. While pledges have surged, the term is often loosely used without any plans and measurement mechanisms to achieve these targets.
Wow, yeah, that's one that I hear about a lot. Sometimes it's confusing to understand, but just the literacy behind it. Thank you, and that's one that I think a lot of people need to understand what it means, and again, why it matters. What's the best part of this industry that you're currently involved in?
Yeah, there's few things that could match the thrill of building a business that transforms entire industries and improves people's lives. It starts with identifying unmet needs, then relentlessly pursuing solutions to make a real impact. It's more than just a job. It's a commitment to shaping our future.
And I can only imagine in this journey and the spirit of the education and your passion for it, there's some lighter moments, and along the way, let's really lighten it up. What's the funniest thing that ever happened to you at work?
Oh boy, did I ever tell you about my photobombing story?
I don't recall that one, but I think our audience would love to hear.
All right. So before management dashboards, my departments had walls covered in chart tracking, charts that tracked our KPIs, key performance indicators. And one weekend, I was in the office by myself when I heard voices outside on the floor. I poked my head out to see our company chairman and our CEO giving a tour to the head of a major international company. And they were checking out our walls and snapping photos filled with sensitive information, including all the company's M&A activity. So I quickly introduced myself, took over the tour, and literally shot after shot, I strategically positioned myself so we couldn't get a clear picture, protecting the company's information and taking photobombing to a brand new level.
Hey, buddy, that's like taking cybersecurity parameters to a whole nother level. At least it's physical security. I love it with the human body moving and shaking. I love it. I love it, Ian.
A lot of deking.
I love it.
Weaving and deking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, listen, you know what I love to do. We talked a lot in a whirlwind manner, but that's what we wanted to do. Bits, bytes, and insights. We want to educate, inform, and enlighten, and hopefully this gave everybody listening today a taste. And folks, check out airviz.com, Google Ian Magazine. You'll see everything you want to see, and a lot of what he referenced. And in the process, you'll learn a ton about air pollution, and particulate matter. But let's close this out, Ian, with a parting shot, something you want to leave in light of our discussion today with the audience.
I think the most important thing is really to get these data sets so people could really understand the importance of the air that they breathe, both outdoors and indoors. Because I think once that you start seeing that data, it could make a real difference in changing the healthier future.
Ian, succinct and to the point as always. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Continue to do what you're doing. You're educating the world. You're influencing the world. You're informing the world. And you're enlightening the world. So we subscribe to that here at Dots and Bridges and Bits, Bytes, and Insights. And until the next time, my friend, keep doing great things in the Berg. Love you like a brother.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you for tuning in to Bits, Bytes, and Insights. where we humanize the people and technology that catalyze innovation. And again, a big time thanks to the Alliance for Critical Infrastructure Security for sponsoring us today. Remember, you can find more bits, bytes, and insights on our website, dotsandbridges.com. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, strive to remain educated, informed, and enlightened. This episode was independently produced by the Dots and Bridges team. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own, and the mention of any organization, product, or service is not an endorsement.